Hello, this is William Chung in Toronto. I'm going to give a demo of my Smartsheet backup tool. The logic is pretty simple. In the main method, I read from the properties file, which is smartsheet-backup.properties, and I instantiate an instance of a Smartsheet service. Now, this is an interface, so the implementation of this interface is this RESTful Smartsheet service, which takes the access token read from the properties file. And this implementation is wrapped by another implementation, the Retry Smartsheet service, which is responsible for the wait and retry logic on the 503 or service unavailable errors. Then I instantiate a parallel download service, which takes the number of threads you want to use for the downloading, and that's read from the properties file as an optional property. It also takes the timeout for how long you want to wait in minutes for all the downloads to be done. That's also an optional property. And finally, I instantiate the Smartsheet backup service, which is the meat or the business logic of this tool that decides what actually gets backed up from the user's Smartsheet account. And this backup service takes the API service or the Smartsheet service, as well as the parallel download service as inputs. And then after you call the backup to method, passing in the output directory, which you get from the properties file, you can then just call the parallel download service to wait until all the download jobs are done for any attachments that had to be downloaded from Smartsheet. So it's pretty simple, and to build the tool, you can just do a Maven package, and I'm going to use skip tests to speed up the demo, because the tests are actually integration tests. Because they use the file system and they use the internet. Okay, so when you do Maven package, it builds a runnable jar which you can run just using java-jar and then specify the path. So we build it in the target directory here using Maven package, right? So just java-jar. If you don't specify any argument on the command line, I pick up the properties file from the current directory. So you see I'm picking up the properties file here, and that properties file is in my okay, it's in my oops. It's in my Eclipse project, so the access token output directory there. Okay, and in the meantime, the tool finished backing up my Smartsheet account. So we can check what's in my account. So I have, you notice that under the sheets, the top level here, I have a sheet that I own and also two sheets that were shared with me, which I don't own. And if we look at the backup directory, so I backed up to my-smartsheet-backup. So I just refresh to see that, okay, it's here. So you see under the sheets folder, I only back up the sheet I own. And I don't back up the sheets which were shared to me. Similarly, if you look at under workspaces, I have someone shared this workspace with me. It's not owned by me, but in the workspace, there's a sheet that I created, so that's owned by me, and there's another sheet which was shared to me is my account is William Chung, and the other account is William Gmail that shared this workspace with me. And if you look under workspaces in the shared workspace, you see that there's only the sheet that I own, not the sheet that was shared to me. And for the hierarchy of the folders, that's under Sheets, so I mimic the hierarchy, as you can see, and also handle the name duplicates. Like this level 2, it appears 2 times under the Sheets, right? So I resolve the duplication using the numbering pattern, like using appending like 2 in parentheses to distinguish this from just the first folder with that name. And also, if even if the folder is empty, I still back it up. So this level 2, this is this one. See, even though it's empty, I still back up because I think the user must have a reason for keeping an empty folder around. So I decided to back it up. And this one, this is this top one here, this level 2, which has like level 2 sheet 1. I can just show you that sheet. So I downloaded it as an Excel file. I've opened it here. Okay, that's what it looks like. It's more interesting if it has some rows. This one has this sheet has 1 row that I added here, right? So in the under sheets, this level 1 sheet, there's that row. And for the attachments, okay, this sheet actually has lots of attachments. So I tested all the different types of attachments you can have. You can see there's an attachment to a discussion on the sheet, like this Lola Robo, and there's an attachment to a discussion on a role, right? So 2 different types of attachment: sheet discussion attachment and a role discussion attachment, and an attachment just on the role itself, right? These ones, and this is a link, obviously, and a file attachment. Yeah, so attachment on the role itself. And here's a box URL attachment. And you notice that there are duplicate names, obviously, like with my gravatar, across both the sheet. Like this gravatar is attached to the sheet multiple times here, and it's also attached to the role, right? So that's what I mean, that that attachment shows up across like different entities in the sheet. And if we look at the backup, there's the attachments folder for the sheet, and you see that the gravatar image, it shows up 3 times, right? And I resolved duplicates across the entities in the sheet where it shows up, because all the attachments, like, it doesn't matter if they belong to the sheet or to a role or a discussion of the sheet or a discussion of a role in the sheet. All the attachments get put under this sheet attachments folder, right? So that means I need to handle resolving duplicate names across all those different types of entities in the same place. And for the non-file attachments, they're all put in this CSV file. Okay, so you see there's the box URL, right? And the link attachments, and the links can have the same name and the same URL, right? So they can show up multiple times here. Okay. For the workspaces as well, so this you can see I resolved the duplicate names. Let's go back to the home here. So this workspace 1, it shows up multiple times, so I need to resolve the duplicates under the workspace folder. And this workspace 2, it's empty, but I still back it up, right? And I think I already talked about the shared workspace, where I only back up the sheets I own. Okay, so that shows like how the backup tool works for backing up the sheets and the attachments, and both file and non-file attachments, and maintains a hierarchy and handles the duplicates. It takes care of the folders and the workspaces. Now for the asynchronous download, that's easy. It's easiest to see how that works by using one of the unit tests I wrote. So actually, the integration test. So the tests are in this Smartsheet Backup Service test class, and there's this test here. Backup Smartsheet hierarchy to local directory. This is like the happy path type of test. It just instantiates a backup service and passes in the stub Smartsheet service. And this stub Smartsheet service, instead of calling the actual API, what I do is I can show you. I'll just go to that service, that stub service, which is under my test folder here. So this loads a sample JSON payload for a response I got from the Smartsheet API, and I just deserialize that JSON into my model object like Smartsheet Home. So I have a whole collection of model classes that represent the entities in Smartsheet. So Smartsheet Home has the sheets, folders, and workspaces collections, right? And actually, the base of this hierarchy is Smartsheet entity, which just has the ID property, and then there's a named entity which extends from that. And from that, I build up all the different types of entities in the Smartsheet hierarchy, right? Like folders and sheets, obviously, etc. Anyway, getting back to my stub. Okay, my stubs Smartsheet service, I deserialize the JSON payload, and I just return it. So this helped me a lot when I was developing the tool, in that I didn't have to actually hit the API incur the latency of that, right? I could just quickly test my code by using the stub service. I can actually show you the sample payloads, which I just copy them from the response I got from the API, like for get home, for example. Right, this is the actual JSON I got back. Well, pretty printed, but it's what I got back. So I just deserialize that into the model object and I pass that back. So in my test here, right, for this happy path test, I'm just using the stub service, and I wrap it in a retrying service, which handles the retries on the 503s. And I use the parallel download service, so I'm actually testing the parallel download. And for the attachments, I fake that out in the sample get attachment response or get attachment details response. You can see for the URL, I just use my gravatar, so that in my test, if we run this, just this test, I'll run it as a JUnit. Okay, it's loading. I think my system is slowing down a bit because of the video recording. Sorry about that. Okay, so this test is not actually hitting the API, right? But it's getting the same JSON responses that I would get if I did hit the API. Okay, I'll just maximize this. So now now we're at the point where it's waiting for up to 2 minutes for the all the outstanding parallel download jobs to complete. Okay, so it finished. So you can see like how the asynchronous downloads are working, right? Like these requests here, all these download requests, they're all being done asynchronously, so there's no blocking. And before the test actually completes, it waits for all those downloads to complete, which eventually they did. Right, the downloads caught up, and remember, I'm actually downloading these from my gravatar from the internet, so it's a pretty decent test. Let's see how long that took. Oh, that took 31 seconds. So we can see the impact of if we change the number of threads. Like that was with four download threads, right? Now if I only use say I use one download thread and then I rerun that. Actually, that may be too slow for this demo. Let's just use 2, and I'll run the test again, right, with 2 download threads. See how long that takes. So remember, with 4 threads, it took 31 seconds. Okay, now while that's going on, I can just talk a bit about the other classes I have, like so the Smartsheet backup service, as I said, is the meat, or the where all the business logic is. And again, I wrote it to be like very clean so that you can see what it does, right? It creates a Sheets folder, creates a Workspaces folder, right, as roots, and then goes to the top level Sheets to save the Sheets to the root, and then recursively it goes through all the folders and the workspaces to create them. And as part of creating them, it takes a sheet saver, and the sheet saver is responsible for Oh, the test finished, right? So now because we're using just 2 threads, right? It takes longer, like 47 seconds as opposed to I think I said 30 seconds or 31 seconds with four threads. So that shows you the advantage of doing the asynchronous downloads as opposed to like just sequentially downloading the attachments and blocking and waiting for each download. Okay, so getting back to this, I have this sheet saver class, and the sheet saver class just has these methods, so you can save a sheet, or you can asynchronously save attachment, and you can also save a summary of an attachment which is not a file attachment. Right? This uses the CSV file for the non-file attachments. So the Smartsheet backup service basically delegates to the actually, where is it? It's under Tools, Smartsheet backup service. It delegates to the sheet saver to save all the different types of entities in the hierarchy, as you can see, right? Like for example, here I'm iterating through the rows, and I'm getting all the row attachments, right? Adding to my attachments collection, going through the row discussion attachments, adding them to my attachments collections, right? And then I create the folder for the attachments of the sheet, and then I go through all the attachments for the file attachments. I call the sheet saver, which I was talking about, right, to save them asynchronously. Otherwise, I call the sheet saver to save the summary of the non-file attachment, right? So it's pretty understandable and clean, I think. And getting back to the test, the other tests I have are to test the retry logic. So this test here, it tests the retries until we max out. And how I do this is instead of passing the regular stub service that returns the JSON payloads deserialized, I pass this stub service unavailable Smartsheet service. And this guy, it just throws the service unavailable exception, like to fake the real API returning the 503, because I have an HTTP utils class, so this is where I actually I use HTTP client to call the API here. And if the response I get back, the status code is this constant here, which is 503, then I throw the service unavailable exception from this getJSON payload. And this getJSON payload is what's being called in my RESTful implementation here. You see, in this, for example, get home, right? I call getJSON payload, and that just calls HTTP utils getJSON payload, passing the access token and the URL. So getting back to the test, we can run that to see how the retry logic works. So this test here, which expects service unavailable exception, if I run it, run as JUnit. Okay, so you see I'm logging that I got a file 3, then I sleep for 5 seconds, right, and 10, and I keep doing that until after 5 retries I give up. And I also have a test for testing when the API recovers from the 503, from the service unavailable. That's implemented by just passing this stub recovering service unavailable Smartsheet service. So this is a recovering service unavailable Smartsheet service. I can show you that. And you can see here, like for each of the entry points, like get home, get sheet details, and get attachment details. For the first time you call it, it throws the service unavailable, right? And then the next time you call it, it would return the actual JSON payload, because this extends the stub Smartsheet service. So that's how I could verify my weighted retry logic without actually hitting the API. So we see now this finally finished after the 5th retry, and the sleeps. You can see the sleep intervals for before each retry. Okay, so that's the demo of my Smartsheet backup tool, and I hope it's useful. Thanks.